Okay, it took me a while, but I finally got what I think is some actually French baguettes for today.
You bet how much for those? Anyway, no thanks. I'm trying to go low on carbs.
So some French wine?
Not a fan, thank.
Omelets.
All fromage, of course.
I'm allergic, come on. No, see, I actually brought something of value to this podcast that you should play at the intro. That'd be nice for change.
But I had the whole alliteration joke ready, and
Yeah, sure. Let's just go with that.
I'm Noriyuki Wadame. ミュージックアーケードにようこそ。いらっしゃいました。
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Music Arcade. I'm Galen, the Sound Guy Firestone.
I'm Ranakel and not Noriki Warare.
and I'm Eddie, and rumors of my death have been hugely exaggerated with deja vu.
I think the rumors are as persistent as you are at this point, really.
To be fair, at least this time I'm using this joke just after I caught a cold with poor timing. Last time I used the joke, I think it was literally right after I went under the knife.
Yeah, I will take the lighter reason for that. Thank you very much.
Me
Very
too.
same.
Me too.
Yeah.
Also, let's talk a little bit about that intro, because you got some people to record some stuff for us.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll go to over that more in detail after the main body of the episode.
Yeah, that's more of a now playing thing, but Rana got to experience something
Exactly.
that I am deeply jealous about.
A concert will go more in details, but yeah, I've had the occasion to go to a meet and greet and shot my shot asking a couple of people to record a little tidbit, and yeah, fun times.
Indeed.
So today we are wrapping up, finally, our creator celebration series. It is the last day of July, and by the time this releases, it will be August. And this was supposed to be done in May.
Yep.
May was a bit ambitious. Early June was reasonable, and then things happened.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
I'll just be honest. I'm blaming myself for jinxing it because my intro for the first of these 3 episodes involved us not stalling anymore.
We'd actually been in a really good place schedule-wise until this happened.
I blame the curse of Ra primarily.
That's fair.
I blame the curse of 2026 in general. I think Ra is also like, you know what? I'm cool right now. Let's just not do this.
Well, at least someone's cool.
Maybe Ra got the same insomnia bug that pretty much everyone in our community got.
To be fair, my lack of sleep is due to some cold that prevented me to sleep. I'm glad I don't have regular old insomnia.
I'm glad you
And
don't
I'm happy
have that
for
too.
you. Yep, same.
What I also have is 10 tracks answering the same 10 questions as my 2 other co-hosts, so how about we start talking about a song I like that deserves more recognition?
I think that's a great idea. And we are starting with a game that I really need to play, and that is Nights in Tight Spaces, the sequel to Fights in Tight Spaces.
Exactly. Although the status as a sequel is a bit more disputable now that they have also released 2 Fights, 2 Spaces.
I didn't know that game existed, so okay.
Yeah, no, it's co-op now. That's the name.
Okay.
But anyway, the track in question is Advancing Shot from the, as you've said, Nights in Tight Spaces OST. And I've just been really liking some of the tracks from that soundtrack. They are pretty long, which is not necessarily a compliment. Like, there's definitely things that prevent it from being the perfect track, and I guess my final judgment on it is that it is a sweet 7.5-minute song that could have been an amazing 3-minute piece. But time aside, I really like what it does compositionally, the mix of sonorities, the pace which it incites. Some of the samples and instruments used are maybe also a little bit simple and not the highest quality, which is what makes me kind of pick this track. Like, I want to see what Nervous Test Pilot, the composer, could do with that kind of creative impulse and that kind of compositional chops, but better pacing, better samples, better instruments, better tools at his disposal, and a kind of back and forth recognitions for that.
One of the games I'll be talking about and now playing features a composer who, at least for this title, appeared to have a virtually unlimited sound budget. Hearing the difference and being able to make use of the tools available to you is an art in and of itself. And hearing, like, yeah, some of these samples are lower quality, it doesn't detract from my interest in this music at all.
Absolutely not.
So no, I very much think this. I agree with you. This deserves more recognition. I was very pleasantly surprised by this soundtrack and by this song, and I'm like, yeah, I get it. This is really cool. It's got a vibe here. Very cool use of the low strings and synths.
Yeah, and the way it kind of has a colon response, although it almost has a sneaking around, more of an action sneaking vibe to it. Less not trying to get caught and more not trying to get caught right now situation. It's the sneaky feeling you get in, say, the John Wick fight scene that happens in a busy place with silencers and they're trying to be sneaky about shooting each other.
That was such a silly moment, but yeah.
Yeah. I like that it clearly knew that silencers don't work like that and decided not to care 1 second.
Which is the correct thing to do. It's a movie.
Absolutely. Any thoughts, Eddie?
I think the samples in general are probably the highlight of the song for me.
Oh, really?
The more electronic bit is the part that I was less interested in. It blends well. Like, it's interesting. It's well done. It blends well. It's just not a me thing, the electronic part. But I enjoyed the samples, especially the string samples.
Yeah. Okay. I can see that it's a bit of a constraint, but that there's been legendary tracks that have been made with much tighter restrictions, so I kind of get the appeal as well. I like a bit more freedom in general in my more modern tracks, but the result speaks for itself.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
and that's what matters the most.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. This is very much a personal taste thing.
Absolutely.
Not criticizing the quality. The quality is there.
Yeah. No, yeah.
There is one song on this list, and it's not this one that I will talk about. Actual, compositional, what I would describe as mistakes, but for the most part, yeah, no, this is definitely, like, compositionally extremely solid. Whether or not you like it on a personal level is a slightly different conversation.
Well, if we're talking about things that are personal, most recently to Eddie, how about we talk about the Eddie track, or what I picture as the Eddie track, namely the first Emperor from Breath of Fire 4.
And per the tradition set in the previous 2 episodes of the series, I am waiting while you guys talk before I give my opinion.
Sounds reasonable. Well, for the Edie pick, I was thinking of something that was on the quieter side compared to more of a full-on action theme, yet with some very cool instruments, very unique, and with tons of character, not just something that fades in the background, but that sets this notable dark ambience with few apparent moves and few apparent melodies. And I landed pretty naturally with that, with a slight detour towards the full-host battle theme, because I really like it, but it felt too wild for an Edie pick.
Yeah, when I saw the title, I was expecting a battle theme or a boss theme, and I got this, which is at least superficially something I would associate with Edie. It is very atmospheric. It is more or less allergic to melody. It is very foreboding. This feels in his wheelhouse to me. I get why you picked this.
Yeah. All right. Tell us what you feel then, Edie.
I get why you picked this song for me, and I listen to it a lot because it is very interesting to me, but it's not really a song I will listen to on my own, to be honest.
Yeah, and that's entirely fair.
Yep.
Honestly, I'll take a song that intrigues you over one that you just like.
I do find it, like, on a meta level, I find it a bit amusing that both you and Galen picked very, very calm and slow-paced songs when faced with the prompt of picking a song that is a very me thing. When the genre I listen to the most in my free time is metalcore, but okay.
Yeah, I kinda didn't want to go with a metal song pick for both of you, honestly. I wanted to try a little bit around that route and see where it landed, and honestly, I landed there pretty quickly. And yeah, I like what this led to, because I like this track, and if it got your curiosity and had you kind of squint a little bit at it, I'm happy with that.
That's an entirely fair approach, really. I would probably describe the song as almost dungeon synth. To be honest, it's sort of like a what if dungeon synth but made in Japan, basically.
That's a cool way of putting it. Yeah.
I think the main thing for me when it comes to these more atmospheric / ethereal songs, which I have brought up quite a few in the past, is that usually there is something that grabs my attention throughout the song, even if it's in the background. So like, let's use like the first episode of our celebration series as an example. The song that I thought deserved more attention that I brought up was Urzael from Diablo 3.
Yeah.
And that one had two things going on that caught my attention. It had a very strong rhythm section, and it did have a choir melody, even if the melody was very much in the background. But it had those elements that grabbed my attention. This one is a bit, I don't want to say disjointed because that kind of has a bad connotation, but it's
no,
not.
I get it.
It's not all connected, right?
Yeah, I guess for me, thinking of that through line, I like my mind latches to the bell sound as kind of a guide through the song, so I don't get lost in it.
I see. I can see. For me, it didn't quite repeat often enough to give that sort of that idea of repetition legitimizes. I think Adam Neely says that a lot in his videos.
Indeed, and maybe it's because I've seen that played in game, where it's in. Basically, there's this whole side story about who turns out to be the antagonist of the game, and you have this whole different ambience and culture and atmosphere that is very present in the OST as well, and you get multiple scenes with different parts of the soundtrack that loop, so maybe I had the repetition already drilled in me, and that will explain that as well.
I will say, though, as an aside, this is the most Suikoden sounding song not from Suikoden I've ever heard.
Yeah.
And I do enjoy the majority of the Suikoden soundtracks, so that's another way you kind of got the general correct area, let's say.
Close enough. C's get degrees.
They sure do. But yeah, it's a very interesting song, even if it's not quite one I'd listen to very much.
Yeah.
Some very interesting composition choices here.
Excellent. Then, how about we move on to the Galen pick, which is the Agnus Battle theme from Xenoblade Chronicles 3.
Okay, please. I'm looking forward to hearing your explanation.
Well, my explanation is that when I try to think beyond just let's make a cool metal pick here too, and figure out what would be the thematic shortcut to a Galen song, the word that came back to my mind was mastery. Something that demonstrates mastery, that's got, and that kind of landed me here to a song that is very elaborate with some intense moments, but that never loses track of where it's headed to. Lots of layers, but that work very harmoniously for a very cohesive whole that shows its complexity when you peel back the layers a little bit.
It is a very technical song, absolutely. The actual mastery of the playing is very much on display here, for sure.
I will say I am chuckling a bit to myself at the idea that I got dark and Galen got mastery. I think I got the short end of that stick.
Well,
let's be honest, the dark one is the cool one in the game.
Okay, I can get behind
fair.
that.
I'm going to be honest with you. It's been a very long time since I played Breath of Fire 4, but the Folu segments stand into mind way more than the main segments, so I would agree with that. What was the law of Bruce? Your movie is only as good as its baddest guy? Yeah, that was on full display in Breath of Fire 4.
Oh, absolutely. But it does raise an interesting part with the contrast, because while this is a very martial theme with lots of war drums right from the start, it's also very bright.
Yeah, I actually had in my notes, I described it as shonen anime victorious battle-esque.
Yeah.
You have no idea how correct you are, for a reason that would require talking about some elements of the meta plot of Xenoblade Chronicles 3 and 2.
I was gonna say you are correct that I have no idea because I haven't touched the Nintendo console since the SNES.
Yeah,
fair.
I know that about you.
So, when I first listened to the playlist, I was in a foul mood. For whatever reason, my brain gremlins were just on rage mode that day.
Okay.
And I listened to this song in particular, tried to give it a fair shake, and came away from it hating it. Like, what is this mess? I listened to it again this morning, thinking, okay, new time frame. Let's see if my notes are correct on this. I was definitely overly harsh on it on that bad day. But I think my main point about this song is going to stand, and that's what it is. I'm trying really hard to find a groove on this song, and it's just not there. I think they get lost in the sauce and go to a Buckethead place where they're just showing off and kind of forgot to write music?
God, Buckethead.
That's cool, because the almost showing off part is kind of my main point here, so I'm glad at least I got a song that demonstrated that I wanted to show.
Yes, completely. It just feels like it's 7 or 8 intros duct taped together with a cool guitar solo, and then there's a chorus that goes on for too short of a time. And I'm like, where's the rising and falling energy? Where's the dynamics?
Also, the guitar riffs are way too short for how cool they are in the small transition. The da-na-na, da-na-na, da-na.
Yeah, they go like 4 bars and then move on to the next thing. There's no room to let it sit. It just sort of hits you in the face and keeps going and doesn't give you a chance to appreciate it.
In a way, it's kind of the opposite problem I raised with Advancing Shot. This is a 3-minute track that would have been better for 7.5 minutes.
Yes! Thank you! It's like, I on my bad day, I couldn't help but think of our episode of The Drop, and it's like, you're just holding the drop for 2 minutes and 50 seconds of a 3-minute and 30-second song. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I'll be honest, I'm sorry, but my brain completely derailed at the mention of Buckethead, because my first point of contact with Buckethead was a weirdo album he made with Viggo Mortensen, aka the actor behind Aragorn from Lord of the Rings, which was a bizarre ambient album with guitars in the middle of it. And that album now feels like the thing that connects this song to the previous one.
That's amazing.
That's really cool for a tangent, actually.
I'm going to be honest, Buckethead was kind of my second choice, but I don't think most of the general audience would know who Tuomas Holopainen is, and that would just get me complaining about Nightwish's last 2 albums for a long time. That was my first choice. Very technically apt, a lot going on. Could you write an actual song, please? Because that's what I actually want to listen to.
Yeah, and as far as the song is in its context, it's got a couple of things that kind of leave it ultimately at a similar level of appreciation, but in different ways, because on one hand, this is a battle theme, and some of the battles against the more normal monsters can be very short, so you have one notable intro that leads to another kind of transition, and then you're done. So you don't really have the time to get to a point of fatigue. But you also kind of don't get anywhere. Even if one of the fights drags on somehow, which is very difficult for a game where 5 of your characters are hitting on the enemy and constituting most of your DPS, you kind of don't really get those normal fights that last quite as long as to get to the late parts of the song.
Yeah,
so it's kind of weird.
I'm just going to throw this out there because we've discussed this concept before in the form of the Final Fantasy XIII boss theme, and from Xenoblade 1, the Machina battle theme. When you're playing the actual game, it doesn't get enough of a chance to sink in, doesn't give you enough of a chance to grow, and this song kind of feels like overcompensating for that. Like, all right, well, we're not going to go anywhere, so let's get it all out of the way now.
Absolutely.
And if you do manage to last 2.5 minutes, then here, have a chorus.
The weirder part, though, is that it's actually the second normal battle theme you encounter in the game.
I mean, so is the Machina battle theme in Xenoblade 1, so that tracks.
Exactly. It feels very fresh when you first hear it, but by the time you're 10 hours into hearing this theme every now and then, the original battle theme, which is overall more cohesive, I'd say, feels fresh again. Which is interesting in the structure of the game and kind of leverages how open the world is for this game.
Yep. Yeah, like I just want to kind of bring back what I said at the beginning about how I thought I wasn't being fair to this song because I was in a bad mood that day. I'm looking over the rest of my notes, and this is literally the only song that I have something decidedly negative to say on it. So I'm like, no, I think it actually might be the piece of music this time.
It amuses me that somehow both Galen and I have only positive things to say about music on this episode, except the songs picked for us.
Hell yeah. Because I'm growing aggro, baby.
There's a song in here that makes me think that, so maybe that's kind of true.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I can figure out which one it is. Now, how about we move on to an appropriately named track next?
Great.
Let's talk about Frank Klepacki's Meltdown.
And also the current French weather, I guess.
Ain't that the truth?
So this was what convinced me right out of the gate that maybe I wasn't being too harsh on the previous song in my bad mood, because I instantly loved this one. I am just like, yes, everything about this is wonderful.
Oh yeah. So I looked at the artist. I knew this was going to go hard, and somehow it still went harder than expected.
Yeah, it's a weird industrial track with bizarre samples that come together to something way too epic. Yeah, it's totally Klepacki. It's
Yeah,
duh.
absolutely. And I wasn't sure which composer to bring up, but then last episode we talked about Klepacki, and I was like, what else did he do in his free time? And it turns out one of the answer is this. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's like... The whole album is basically the very cool soundtrack to a badass game about fighting evil robots that doesn't actually exist. Although, like, it would work as a RoboQuest track, and I really love RoboQuest soundtrack, and that would fit right in. Honestly.
Oh, that is an interesting take. I'm not as familiar with RoboQuest as you are, but I see where you're coming from with that.
Yeah, very industrial, very unashamedly, here are the robots. And,
the energy is definitely there. I think you would notice it's a bit off because it has actual guitars, but it would fit the vibe.
Yeah, the RoboQuest OST is more thoroughly electronic. But that one, by having those guitars, is very much Frank Klepacki original.
Yeah, let's just say that the RoboQuest soundtrack exists so that I can eat my words from early in the podcast. Way in one of the first few episodes, I said I wasn't a huge fan of electronic.
Exactly. It was made exactly for that and nothing else. Also, for the record, Frank Klepacki's most recent album is very different. It's basically an early 90s retro album that feels faithful to me and like has hints of things like the demo scene integrated in a newer composition. And Galen, I think in particular, you should check it out.
I will absolutely do so.
And
I think
if it is on Deezer, I will also check it out.
Here's hoping it is. It was on YouTube Music, which is where I search for my entries.
Yeah, no, I kind of have. It's almost too good to have something to say about it, right? Like,
yeah,
this is a song you just take in and vibe, and just
enjoy
the marching.
Not only is it really good, it's also very, very Klepacki. Like, that's what he does. That's what he's done since the 90s.
I think I found the album you were talking about, and if I'm correct, the title is literally Greetings from 1986.
That's the one.
Yeah, that sure is 80s on the cover.
Yep. In particular, 1986 is my year of birth, so appropriate. Coincidental, but appropriate. Now then, how about we go and take a stroll down Broadway, the SimCity 3000 Broadway, namely.
This is so nostalgic.
Yeah. This is a very interesting...
Yeah.
It has a lot more moving parts than I remember.
It really does. It's almost like we've mentioned with some of the Destiny track that goes a lot of places and kind of meanders, except this one always has the dun 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 to return to every time through all of its 12 weirdo phases, which really ties it together somehow.
It really does. This is just such an interesting mix of instruments. Like, you got the like weird grim piano start that transitioned into something very bouncy, surprisingly bouncy for how grim that start was. I was expecting a very different song at the very beginning. And then it just
that piano hook is something else.
Yeah, and then there's like a cool use of the bells, and then of course, that's an oboe. And then it's
I'm gonna die with that on my gravestone, aren't I?
Kind of, unfortunately.
And I had this track on my mind in part because of a video by YouTube channel VGM Quest on The Sims 1, which was in a similar era, and about how different that soundtrack was from the rest of the series. And those two are pretty close together in their sonority, where it's closer to like weird freeform jazz, with strange uses of instruments kind of track that are pretty experimental, but somehow really cement some mood, sometimes very dark ones, but that are way further from the more modern Sims, more pop vibe. To the point of the video's conclusion was that this track, keep in mind a tone of satire of kind of this consumerist ideal depicted in the games in a way the Sims 2 onwards take wholesale.
Yeah, for me at least, like from the point of view of a complete outsider who's never even been to the US, the soundtrack to SimCity 3000 and the soundtrack to the first The Sims, they kind of feel to me like trying to capture the general vibe of New York specifically without trying to go for stereotypes.
Yeah,
okay, as someone who lived in New York, I'm like, I don't hear it, but I mean, you're an outsider, so my experience is definitely going to be different than yours in that regard.
The fact that it's named Broadway certainly helps.
That does help, yeah. But there's the sax solo, and there's a lot of viral videos of sax solos in the subways of New York that you can find on YouTube.
Yeah, that is definitely a thing that happens.
Yeah, the piano at the start, I kind of felt like it sounded less grim and more urban and serious, let's say, which is sort of the vibe you get when you look at a concrete jungle. At least I get it. Also, the faster tempo. I think most of the Sims is on a slower tempo than this. The song has a fairly fast tempo, at least to my ear, which also fits the speed of the city that never sleeps.
It does help convey a lot the busier streets and kind of an active downtown or active entertainment districts of some sorts.
Yeah, at the very least, it conveys the image that the movies about New York convey.
Yeah.
Might not convey the image you actually get from living there.
It's two very different cities.
They sure are.
But yeah, it's just overall a very unique track that's kind of difficult to place in another episode theme, and as a free space, it's something cool to talk about, and kind of different from the kind of usual picks I made. It was the last one I ended up putting in the episode, in fact, and I'm kind of glad I did.
This, like, beyond the fact that it brought up so many memories, because I played so much SimCity 3000 growing up.
Oh yeah, same.
It's also, it is very interesting, and like
it is a very interesting song for sure.
Yeah,
and there are so many, like, for a 6-minute song, it has a lot of movements, and
Yeah,
each
like
movement you can come up with your own interpretation of what image that movement conjures for you specifically, and you won't be wrong. It's a multiple choice exam where all choices are correct.
Mhm.
absolutely. This is a 6.5 minute song that needs to be a 6.5 minute song and nothing less.
Correct.
Oh, yeah, if it was shorter, they would be racing.
Absolutely.
Yep.
But here, no, you can take your time in front of a slightly overpriced cafe and take in the sights as the sun goes down before resuming your busy day. Now then, how about we move on to the next pick, which was a non-video game song I want to talk about. And I specifically wanted to bring a song that I wanted to talk about in this should fit in a video game context, and took Faith and the Muse's Nine Dragons, which is a Neo boss fight theme.
I believe that was actually the full prompt. Non-video game music that would fit in a game.
Yes.
That's quite possible. And, well, in that case, I'm glad I stayed on theme.
You sure did. You're the
Especially
guy who
given that
wrote
I'm
the
the one that
prompts.
wrote them.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that was about to turn weird. So I have some comments about this song. Two in particular.
Let's hear them.
First, this reminds me a lot of Maybe I'm a Lion from Final Fantasy VIII.
Yeah, I can definitely hear it.
Yep. The other thing...
I didn't have it in mind, but no objection whatsoever. Makes perfect sense.
Yeah. Another minor comment, the album cover is very Keygen Church.
Yeah. Certainly in the color scheme.
The color scheme and just the fact that it is just a complicated symbol just sitting there. It's missing his, like, techno stuff, but it's still very much like that energy.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I'm surprised neither of the two things you had to say were this feels like an Eddie song.
We're getting to that, actually, kind of.
Oh.
Fair enough.
Because when I finally listened to it, I realized, wait, this is just a Sepultura song without the guitars.
Okay.
I didn't expect that route, but okay.
Yeah, no, this is like, what if we took Chaos AD and just had no guitars on it?
I would push
What
back
I'm
a little
hearing-
bit. I would push back a little bit on that because the rhythm section doesn't sound Brazilian, and Sepultura always sounds very Brazilian with the rhythms and the drums.
What I'm hearing is that I should listen to more Sepultura.
That is a
fun.
deeply questionable statement, but okay.
Yeah, they can be fun. I think
The,
the better
they
way
can
of
be.
only
phrasing it-
song of theirs I really know is Bloody Roots. And that's because of the version in duo with Pavarotti.
With Pavarotti? Wait, what?
I forgot about
Yeah,
that.
no, there's a duet version with Sepultura and Luciano Pavarotti.
I have never heard of this in my life, and I am deeply confused as to how that is possible. I need to track this down.
I will send you that link.
Please do. I am too curious.
Excellent.
I will just note that for, I think, not all of its time, but most of Sepultura's time as a band so far, their drummer was the guy who is now the drummer for Slipknot, and he's considered by a lot of people the best drummer in the world. So comparing this to Sepultura is huge praise, at least on the rhythm side.
Yeah, especially given how front and center the drums are for this track.
Which, incidentally, I don't think I actually touched on what I think of this beyond my joke that this sounds like a me song. But I think I'm the only one other than Rana here who knows who Faith and the Muse are. I didn't expect Faith and the Muse on this playlist, so when I saw it, I was like, okay, we're getting something very interesting. And it went places I didn't expect because I wasn't familiar with their, like, the songs where they kind of scream rather than sing.
Yeah. With admittedly the part that's more mumbly in the background that feels a little bit weird when you try to pay attention. Like, it sets a nice atmosphere, but if you try too much to focus on it, it sounds like, why is this guy reading me a Wikipedia article in the middle of the song?
Oh god.
But I just really like it overall. It's very clear in its intent. It's got war drums and war horns and war chants, and it's going for a tussle, one might say.
Let's just say the guy in the background is reading the war plans.
I think that's the intent, actually. And yeah, this as a way to illustrate a Neo boss fight would be great. It has kind of the slower but still martial tone that fits a Souls-like boss, and with this very Japanese aesthetic to it, it would work.
It's a very interesting song. Like, it's combining a lot of factors that are... I could hear where you're coming from with that, yeah.
I couldn't quite place it, like, in the context of what if this was in a video game. I couldn't quite place something where I would put this as is, like a game or a scenario where I would place the song as it is. But I feel like if you added some guitars, the screams are already there. Add some guitars, you already have the rhythm section perfectly there. The synths are also perfectly there. Add guitars and it fits a Killer Instinct character theme.
Ooh, interesting.
Okay.
At least from the Mick Gordon era.
Yeah, I hear you out.
You know what? I think I may have touched on that subconsciously because I didn't want to bring it up, but since we started talking about the song, Cinder's theme has been playing in my head. I think I might have made a similar connection somehow, like unconsciously.
Interesting.
This sounds nothing like Cinder's theme, I might add.
Yeah.
No, it's very different.
But sometimes some links between two songs can come in an unexpected way.
Yeah.
Interesting. Lots to think about. And while I'm doing that, how about we move on to the song Edie made me discover that I'm still very much into.
I have a story about this song. Please continue.
I too have a story that this song reminded me of, actually. Which is Disposal Unit Imperium Mix by Jesper Kyd. So first and foremost, when it comes up in the playlist, you don't need to hear it to know that I'm listening to it, because I start walking 30% faster and in a very regular pace. It's the kind of song that makes you match its pace when you're walking. It's got that Hell March quality to it, if you will, to bring it back to Klepacki. And given the composer and how it's got this pace, this theme of advancing while being unimpeded by the dangers and the obstacles in your way, it reminded me of one of my proudest gaming moments, which was in one of the old Hitman games.
Okay.
A mission thus the Jesper Kyd connection. A mission in Hygra's apartment. And I accomplished the main objective, killed the mark, and was on my way out. But I had been spotted somehow. Not in a way that sent constant reinforcement, but everyone was on high alert. And all I needed to do was to take the elevator out. So I called the elevator. And I don't know if they're always there or only when you are in high alert, but turns out that elevator had 4 armed guards in it. And I was standing just there, and you know that power you have in some games when you slow down time so you can line up your shots?
Mm-hmm.
You don't have that in this game, but I guess it happened to me in this moment because I just went headshot. They didn't have the time to react, and I just walked in smoothly like nothing happened.
You basically played the Hitman game as John Wick, is what you're saying.
Yeah, suddenly my brain is flashing back to the conversation in Mendoza in Hitman 3, in Hitman World of Assassination.
Yeah. Similar moment of having all your neurons fire in one glorious moment.
This lady, the target. It's 5 against 1. Don't be stupid. 47's response. Yes. See your mistake? Like, Yup.
Yep.
I forget this woman's name. I'm so angry that I forgot her name.
That just reminds me of the Berlin stage.
A little bit of that too, yeah.
Yeah.
Hitman's a good series.
Really is.
It is.
I still need to play First Light.
Same
here. The price is a bit steep
It's
in
a bit
Brazil right
much.
now.
It's in my means, but barely, and I'll see if I get the time for it, because I should make the time for it.
But yeah, that funny thing about this song from Warhammer Darktide, I actually found it by accident. Just
Same.
I think in preparation for one of our episodes, I found it by accident as I was looking for something that actually fit the theme, which this song didn't at the time. And then I went, okay, I really like this.
Yeah.
And
It's a really good song.
This is literally my favorite Jesper song, which is kind of hilarious. I mentioned in previous episodes that I think I just don't like him very much. Personal taste thing. I think
like
he
him.
just... Yeah.
I like him a lot, and I think this might have taken it over the Venice rooftops, over the old Hitman songs. I think this might have taken the lead.
It's so cool. Darktide is a really cool soundtrack, and I'm borderline surprised that he worked on it, because it seems very low profile compared to a lot of the stuff he's worked on over the years. I just randomly got this on a Spotify playlist, and I'm just listening to it like, literally, this is Jesper? Where has he been all these years?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm of the
Especially
opinion, let
since
him
a
be
lot
weird.
of- Absolutely, because I feel he had a period after Hitman Absolution in particular, where people heard, oh, he's the guy that made the Ave Maria version. Let's make him make other variations on religious themes to have these cool solemn things, and that's missing his very cool electro aspects that he's so good at.
Yeah, like this song just grips you and does not let go.
Yeah.
I'm on the camp where I actually really, really, really enjoy his stuff on Assassin's Creed, other than Valhalla. I think even he wasn't good in Valhalla. That says a lot about what their game was like. But
Even great composers have days off.
that game was rough on a lot of senses. But I think like even as someone who does enjoy that a lot, and I can't compare this to that, I feel like it's too different for me to say whether I like this style more than that or not. I do like this more than his work on Hitman, I think, which is closer to the sound. And I think that's where Jesper is at. Maybe not his best. That would depend on personal taste. But at least at his most natural is when he's mixing this sort of churchiness with his electronic side, where it's not like Cajun Church, where the electronic side is very abrasive. The way Jesper Kyd works with electronic is very approachable. But that
Very
approachable
much so.
electronic with the choral churchiness, that is his natural playground, let's say.
And it's so weird because Warhammer 40k existed for a while, and it's very united in its identity, but apparently it took until Darktide for him to show up and said, oh, I can basically do what I'm best at, and it just so happens to fit this old setting perfectly. Sure.
Also, every time I hear this song, I'm reminded that I need to stop and actually listen to the Vermintide soundtrack, because
True.
I don't know if he worked on the first Vermintide, but he worked on Vermintide 2 at least. I know that for sure. And the regular Warhammer setting is similar and yet very different from the Warhammer 40k setting in a lot of
Yep.
ways. And I am very curious at how he approached the actual the original Warhammer setting, where all this electronic side might feel a little bit out of place. I really need to check that out.
Yeah, because that's less perfectly in his wheelhouse, but
Mhm.
I think he can make it work.
He probably did. Otherwise, I don't think
Yeah.
they would have brought him back to do Darktide.
You know what? Fair. Now, let's move on to the song Galen made me discover that I still very much like, which is in a genre I don't typically like from a game I haven't played, which is all the more of a standout. It's Melancholy Requiem from Silent Hill 4. And yeah, it's a very unique, very layered horror game song that
Mm-hmm.
feels like it's in both illustration and conversation with the anguish more than just depicting this is dread, look at it, and the likes, which make it interesting, and it's a bit of an earworm at the same time, like the loop that feels broken and goes back on itself, kind of stick in your head in a good way. And I really like that song, and this isn't even the last we're going to talk about Akira Yamaoka this episode.
Certainly not, which is amazing. So this is
Yeah.
a song that, hot take, the last good Silent Hill game, and it wasn't even all that good. I'm not sure that's true, but I have a great amount of affection
You
for
haven't
the
played
original.
F, right?
I have not played F.
Yeah.
I have an incredible amount of affection for the original quadrilogy. That's a
Mhm.
word. And I have played some of the games since, and none of them have really grabbed me in any meaningful way. I haven't played F because it never really felt like there was a point. It just felt like it was a different horror game that put the Silent Hill name on it. Same as Downpour, same as Conviction. Conviction, was that his name? I don't think that was his name. Homecoming. Conviction was Splinter Cell. It was just about an ex-con. Anyway, one of the things that the older Silent Hill games got, and especially including the Yamaoka soundtrack, is that it pushes atmosphere much harder than direct jump scares.
Absolutely.
So as a horror game, it doesn't, like you said, it doesn't just look at this. It isn't the elephant in the room, address me. It is deep, and it is psychological, and it gets in your head. And having a soundtrack like this one, which is a lot more subtle, very similar effect, honestly, to the police station in Resident Evil 2, that song.
Yeah.
Same concept. A calmer, more subtle dread. And I honestly, genuinely believe that works better overall than compared to something like Dead Space, which just throws the kitchen sink at you, and eventually you just get desensitized.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it feels like it's the kind of horror that doesn't need to be huge. It instead would rather be personal.
Yes.
You don't have a way out, not because the monster runs faster, it's because the monster knows your address.
Silent Hill 4 is a game that has a great concept, a terrible main character, and atmosphere incredibly, and a bonkers combat system that kind of made the rest of the game a bit of a chore to play.
That's quite the cocktail.
It's a mess of a game. It's a beautiful mess of a game, but it's a mess of a game. If you accept that
I
the
kinda
playable
respect
character
it
isn't
for that.
really the main character, you will enjoy it.
Interesting. And I could see myself enjoying it because, again, even though I'm not a horror main, I did enjoy my time with Silent Hill 2.
I mean, that's a classic for a reason.
Absolutely.
Yeah, generally I don't touch horror games or movies in general. Like, I really enjoy the aesthetics most of the time, and when they try to say something that they come with a message, I tend to enjoy how they go about sending that message, communicating
Yeah.
that message. But I'm not really a player.
Especially if the message is more subtle, that see this ugly monster, it represents trauma.
Yeah, like that is very overdone.
Oh,
But,
yeah.
Yeah. Because that's kind of the surface level understanding some people seem to have of Silent Hill. And that's not quite it.
No, it is far more complicated than that.
Yeah.
But going back to my point, like as someone who doesn't actually delve into the genre as a whole, I obviously am already familiar with Akira Yamaoka. I think I kind of think that if you've been on the internet for as long as we have, even if you don't know the name, you have at least heard one song from him, which was from a Silent Hill game. Akira Yamaoka and ambient music with pianos just it's a duo that can never go wrong, basically.
And that's not even the only core that is the only tool he has at his disposal.
Yeah, and I think I imagine those are synths he's using here. They sound like a lo-fi violin recording or something.
Yeah.
They sound really neat. To me,
like there's something that's subtly wrong, but not enough that it detracts from the quality of the performance.
I think, assuming this is a sample, I'm gonna go with that assumption. I think it's actually the perfect sample for the song. The lo-fi vibes are kind of what the song needs, because to me this is melancholic. I didn't really get horror from this. I got melancholy.
That's very standard for Silent Hill.
And also very standard for me, because I am the kind of guy who just gets melancholy from songs that people tell me are horrendous. I did find the last quarter, I think, of the song, the last few seconds, very interesting. It goes into a very different place, very synth heavy.
It unravels a bit at this point.
It kind of reminded me of the general, not the music, but the general ambience of Disco Elysium at the end.
I can hear it.
Like, it doesn't really sound anything like what C-Power composed for the soundtrack, but it fits that aesthetic. It fits that world, that last little bit.
Makes sense to me.
But yeah, this if you need me to say it out loud, this is a cool song. We're like 3 songs deep into a streak of Eddie songs here.
We will see if we go 4 for 4 then, because this next one is a departure from what we've been talking about the last few tracks.
That it is. We don't have the confirmed name of the track for now, because they released the soundtrack in batches, because it's from Zenless Zone Zero, which is a live service game, but it's the theme for the fight against Girtablullu, which is a giant enemy crab that kills cute bunny robot mascots. Or does it? But yeah, that's basically its spot in the scenario. It's not an enemy that is like a climactic antagonist after you have a very personal story with it, but it certainly got an intensity that would make you think otherwise, or that would make you think that some drummer somewhere had way too much coffee.
I actually have a question. Because since the song hasn't actually been officially released, the video is a gameplay video with the song just over it.
Yes.
Is that how it plays in the game? Is that like what you're doing when it's playing?
Yeah, you are fighting the boss.
Those drums go way too fast for that speed of the combat.
I'm inclined to agree with that.
Me too.
I actually left a comment on the video after I saw it. And the comment was, why am I looking at an anime girl and Lancelot from Fate Extella instead of 4 ugly edgelords in corpse paint?
Yeah, my first vibe check was also black metal.
Yep.
But interesting, because the character description suggests that it's what you had was a trailer that uses the boss fight, but mainly to showcase 2 characters that released the patch after.
Do they use corpse paint?
Let's see. One of them definitely not. The other, we haven't recruited her, but she doesn't seem the type.
This is a weird mix. Like,
yeah,
not in the musical sense, but in like how it's used.
Yeah, because it's way too intense for the first boss of a story.
That's
first
what it boss?
Is. Yeah, essentially there's one season each year with a main storyline, and that's the first end of patch boss you fight.
Okay,
Jesus.
So this is actually taking me back to Eddie's episode and our conversations about Otherworld. And this is what I was talking about when I say there's just sort of almost never been a proper follow-up to Otherworld. This is the sort of thing I'm talking about. Here is a very straight-laced technical black metal song, which is hilarious on a number of levels. The fact that a Chinese gacha game has technical black metal on the soundtrack is bizarre in and of itself.
I know, right?
But it's not even used as a final boss. It's a boss.
Yeah.
For no reason. Like, why is this here? This is a very cool song that seems to be dying the death of, like, what's the context? Why?
Yeah, especially since right after you fight this boss, guess what happens? You are being chased by a giant interdimensional weed serpent monster.
This almost feels like it'd be a better song for that sequence, depending on how that looks.
I was gonna say, why not play this on the chase sequence? The boss fight doesn't look that intense.
I think I have an answer to that.
Please do.
It's because you have the chase scene where you flee from the interdimensional serpent monster once, while you fight that boss multiple times each week.
So you get to just be bombarded with technical black metal on a once-a-week reset.
Currently, yeah.
This is Final Fantasy XIV, but infinitely weirder, which is really saying something given some of the tracks we've had this patch.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering here. So the prompt for this was a recent obsession or mainstay in your music app of choice.
Every time I see it in my quick picks, I'm starting with that.
Yeah, I was wondering, is it a recent mainstay in your music app because the last episode was about Panic?
No, not even that, though it would be very appropriate for that theme.
That actually brings me to a bit of a story, if you don't mind.
Please do.
Go on.
So once upon a time, I was seeing Eddie's favorite band. This is also a meme that will never die. I was seeing Epica at the something. And they were
favorites.
And they were opened by a band called Flesh God Apocalypse. I know.
Oh God.
This song unironically reminds me of that band. So Rana,
I'm just happy. I'm just happy I wasn't taking a sip of water as you were telling your story because I almost went for it.
That title is A
Yeah, no,
bit on the nose,
yeah,
perhaps.
I actually know the band, so when I heard the name,
Oh,
I just
even
couldn't.
better.
No.
I
Like,
need to be clear. I don't
Okay.
particularly love Flesh God Apocalypse, but if you like this song, you might like that band. So this is me just going like, maybe lean in that direction.
I'll be curious. Look, my main takeaway from this episode, I guess, is that I have a couple of bands to investigate after that.
Sure seems that way.
let's just say that between Galen and myself, we probably know a few weirdo metal bands that we can point our fingers at.
Absolutely.
Of that, I had no doubt.
And
But
to answer the
use
question,
my own terms to depict my... no, go ahead, actually.
Can one of you
Just-
please just say your sentence?
just to answer the question that actually Galen posed before we started talking about the song, whether we would go 4 for 4, I don't know, because I don't know what to think about this one.
Excellent.
It's a little out there.
Yeah, like the blast drums are layered a bit too thick, but I like the violin. I don't know what to think here.
Yeah, and what I actually and ironically like about the song is how the violin isn't drowned by the manic drums.
Yeah.
It's standing on its own and really managing to pierce a way through this kind of fog of drums at this point where any individual beat doesn't matter anymore.
So I'm going to teach you guys a little bit about mixing. A fun fact about metal drums is they actually tend to be mixed super high. And I mean high, like, frequency-wise, not high gain-wise. Yeah. So you lose a lot of that low end. Like, a kick drum sounds more like a stick banging than it does like what you'd expect from a bass drum, which what a kick drum is. So having the violin stick out of that is a very common thing in all sorts of symphonic metal subgenres. Symphonic black metal in this case, symphonic orchestral metal, symphonic death metal.
Yeah, there's a band.
Yeah.
Just to continue the gag of throwing weirdo metal bands, there's a metalcore band where they have a violinist as I think the lead singer is the violinist as well, and you hear the violin above the drumming, like it's clean.
Yeah,
and this has that sort of mix.
Yeah, metal drums tend to be mixed in a sort of way that let other instruments that normally wouldn't have position in the mix to give it that position because of how, like, usually the lowest like thing is actually the guitars or the bass, not the drums in a metal mix. So, little food for thought from a technical standpoint.
I don't think I'd named the band I was talking about. I was talking about a band called Imminence, just in case.
Now, let's move on to the last pick, the second free space. Now, I'm going to start by saying that it took me all of my willpower to not put a song from Free Space 2 in the Free Space number 2.
Why didn't you?
Because I'm better than that. Only slightly, but I want to at least try to pretend that I'm better than that. What I'm not better than is this song, because this is pure indulgence for me as far as I'm concerned. It's a song that is originally from Beatmania IIDX 12, I believe. A rhythm game song that I've played in Stepmania.
Okay.
And it paints a picture. The MV is part of the experience, and that experience is the most unsufferable, edgy anime aesthetic. And I love them. It's shameless. It's got the weird acronym of words that definitely shouldn't be acronym using bad English in the background.
Yeah.
It's got edgy teenager boys fighting with swords. Who are they? I have no idea. They aren't from anything in particular, but they are a vibe. And that vibe is the kind of indulgent, edgy stuff that a part of me like as well and don't really talk about a lot. And this is kind of the perfect condensation of that. as far as the music goes, it starts with pretensions of grandeur, with the choirs it seems to be very proud of, and then goes into something that's very thumpy, and the change of pace are in part for the gameplay reason of having stops and starts and having to adapt to the changes of pacing mid-song, but also because it kind of does whatever it wants.
Sure does. No, from like you were talking about the intro, how it starts all grandiose. My exact notes are, from the intro, this one's about to devolve into extreme metal, right? Oh no, but close enough.
Yeah, it went a more electro route, but it's definitely got kind of...
It's got that pace. It's
not
super
the
hard
vibe,
energy.
But it's tinted in similar colors, if you will.
I actually had a bit of a different, let's say, response to the intro because I saw that it was from Beatmania and I couldn't imagine metal in Beatmania. So when the string started, I went, okay, I'm gonna hate the second part of this.
I don't think I hated it, but this sort of Japanese hyper pop DDR music is definitely not my usual wheelhouse.
Correction. It's Korean.
That doesn't change much of anything. Yep. Asian pop music. I refuse to believe there's an actual difference there. It's literally just everyone trying to one-up each other with the same tropes.
Absolutely, they did. And it's kind of interesting in the concept there because it was relatively early in the timeline of Korea's export of its entertainment and going very heavy on the marketing itself to a global market on a cultural standpoint. And having this kind of early step of them having those adapted, intensified, surface level anime vibe that will absolutely never go deeper and that don't have the anime to go around with it, are kind of them planting the flag before they've really figured it out. And it's interesting. Like, this song has reappeared in a much more recent rhythm game where it felt like a blast from the past and probably a reason why I had it in mind. And it felt like a bit of a time capsule then, because it's not the kind of pop, of electro, of even anime-like music that Korean composer would do this day. And I think the way it works in surface level imitation, but with something that's still personal deep underneath the layers of flashiness, is interesting, if nothing else, on a historical level.
I had no idea about any of this. I just heard this and went like, oh yeah, this is rhythm game music. This is like hard mode rhythm game music.
Yeah,
there's a whole story here.
And 99% works on exactly the level you had it at.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's basically what I had. I did wrote down that this would probably work well as an anime opening if the anime was going edgy enough.
Yeah.
But
that's the point.
Yep.
This I mentioned earlier how the RoboQuest soundtrack was made to make me eat the words when I said that I didn't like electronic music. When I said I didn't like electronic music years ago, I was thinking of songs like this.
Yeah.
This is not my vibe.
Yep, I figured it wouldn't be. This one, like, sometimes I try to figure out, oh, maybe this one will land, and it doesn't. This one, I figured you would both either hate it or at least have a lot of questions.
Neither in my case. It's definitely not my taste, but I certainly respect it. There's a lot going on here, and someone clearly worked very hard on this music.
I mean, yeah. I'm not saying it's poorly made either.
I agree it isn't.
Yeah.
intense, in part because it's the game-sized version. There's an extended version that is less interesting.
I mean, at the end of the
less
day,
intensive. It's like a sugar rush, this song, at this size.
Yes, very much a sugar rush. Not quite crazy enough to be a cocaine rush, but a sugar rush.
Yeah.
one
It's
step
not
below
going
from a
to be
cocaine rush.
feeling, but it's going to do something for a little while.
To answer your question, Eddie, a cocaine rush is the previous song from Zenless. That's how you get that one.
Yeah.
Yep.
No
No,
objection there.
I was just joking. This is a step below a cocaine rush. That tracks. No, yeah, I'm just like, when it comes to dance music, it's just usually not for me. So when I saw like Beatmania on the playlist, I went, "Yep, I'm not gonna like that one." I started playing it. Click to play it. The violins came in. They sound nice. I'm gonna hate the second half, and yeah, this is not for me.
Yeah.
Just I'm not the target audience here.
Clearly not. Because I am the target audience. It's me. It was me all along.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like something that you would fit.
I mean, given that you're the guy who shoved a rhythm game episode down our throats and forced us to react, that doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, absolutely. But with that, I think we're at the end of the selection for this episode.
Yeah, I think this
was a very interesting playlist.
Yeah, it has a lot of songs that I really enjoyed. There were like 2 that I didn't, but for personal reasons, there was nothing
8
here
out
where
of 8 out of 10 is a pretty good score in my book.
There was only one that I didn't like. I am not the target audience for the last one, but I don't have much emotional response to it in general. It was just something to listen to.
That was pure personal indulgence.
Yeah, no, the only song that I had an actual problem with was the Xenoblade song for reasons that I discussed at the time, but everything else here has been pretty great. Oh, I missed an important point about the SimCity track. Somehow I forgot to mention it.
Oh. Mention it now.
Okay. One interesting, and I say this with derision, choice on the SimCity track that kind of took away from the song, for whatever reason, the violins were panned hard left. So you had the, borderline melody segment, this very present segment that was only coming out of one ear. I thought that was a very weird choice.
I don't even remember that.
The panning was very obvious to me. This was like, why is this not centered? This is a featured piece.
Yeah, I'm going back and re-listening. I can hear that. Like the plucked violins aren't, but the bowed violins are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a weird musical mixing choice. I think they were trying to emulate an orchestra, but they kind of forgot that orchestra halls are big. There's reverb everywhere, and it does not sound like that in an orchestra space.
Yeah, and what probably is an oboe is mixed to the right, I think. Now that I re-listen.
Yeah, there's just some weird panning choices in that song. It doesn't take away from the song too much, but it is definitely something that I felt the need to note, and I forgot to actually bring up.
And now I won't be able to unhear it.
Well, now that has been solved, and now that we have said literally everything there is to say about these 10 songs, you are forbidden to discuss them from now, by the way. You too, listeners. These opinions are correct.
Please don't listen to him. Please put your responses in the comments. Thank you.
And now, all joking aside, how about I take us to actually not the no playing quite right away, because we have a special segment brought up by someone special as well.
Hi, I'm Emmy Evans. Welcome to Music Legends.
All right. So you went to something awesome.
Yes, I did. So me and I believe that's the case for you as well, Eddie. We follow Michiru Yamane's channel.
Me too.
On YouTube. Yeah. Oh, you too. Well,
and also our official YouTube channel follows her.
Yeah. So we keep it on the regular, and at the end of one of her pieces, it turned out that she mentioned that she was going and swinging by Europe, first in Spain for a convention, and then in Italy, in Milan, for a concert. And I was like, I'm not sure which one of the two I should go to. I'm more of a con guy, and also Yoko Shimomura will be there too. But then I looked at the full set list for the concert, and I was like, okay, this one's winning. Also, it's way closer to where I live, so
yeah,
that's a nice bonus.
I believe I did talk to you about this specific kind of situation where the Shimomura concert, quote unquote, appearance, I wasn't really sure what was going on there. They were very unclear, whereas this other one was very clearly like, here's all of these people.
Yeah. No, I checked the video on Michiru Yamane's channel, and it was one of those moments, oh, cool, she's going on tour. Let me take a sip of water while I check the details.
You need to watch out with your water. It sounds like you're always one step short of a disastrous situation, like, you know, what happened to Rana and trying to cool his PC with water but without tubes.
Everything for the job.
Indeed. But the trauma that happened between now and the concert aside, costly situation too. I ended up going there, and while the travel was definitely a bit heavy, and that I had this near unstoppable nosebleed like 1 hour before because of the level of heat that was already started.
God.
The event overall was really, really cool. Well organized, well situated, more Italian than I assumed, which sounds weird for an event that's in Italy, but I naturally, given my perspective, I figured it would have something of a more international vibe, but commentary was done in Japanese and Italian. And but yeah, overall it was a fun experience. There was first a meet and greet where I got my fancy little book signed, and also had a very embarrassing mistake at the end, namely that as I met through each and every of the composers and performers, I happened to get my names and tracks confused and complimented Akira Yamaoka for a track that was definitely a Shoji Meguro track.
No!
Oof.
Oh.
Yeah, so that one was awkward. But aside from that, also had an occasion to get myself a signed copy of the Michiru and Kaori Yamane remix album Integration.
Nice.
Which was nice. And also Noriyuki Iwadare in particular, on top of giving that soundbite at the start, was overall an absolute gem. Very friendly. I mean, everyone was, but he went a step above. Also, Amy Evans, I went to her after the Yamanes, and we basically talked about the album I had just bought. So that was a fun experience as well.
I've only done meet and greets a couple of times in my life. More often than not, they feel like a unreasonable expense for what they are. But in this case, given you got to meet a squadron of legends.
Yeah. And also, it's not like I go to a concert every month or every other month. So
yeah.
I might as well make it worth.
Yeah, if you're only going to these rarely, then it is... It definitely sounds like it was worthwhile this time around.
Oh yeah. Also, the swag bag had some nice elements, including like there was a cool keychain, there was a print of the poster, which was nice. Also, when they showed the poster, they also showed, by the way, here is the artist that illustrated this poster, and we're going to talk about it because talking about the artists and the composers is something that matters.
Big thumbs up for me, especially in this day of AI. I have a comment that I may or may not discuss when we get to now playing, but please continue.
The most perplexing part of the swag bag being the tome 1 of the prequel manga for Nier Automata, Attack on Pearl Harbor, which was in Italian, which makes sense. It's like, oh yeah, of course it's in Italian. Well, I'm not going to be able to understand any of that.
Yeah.
But thanks.
Yeah.
Time to get an Italian to English dictionary, I guess.
Although I think I'd rather just get the whole series in a language I can understand for consistency's sake.
I feel like
if
that's probably the smarter move, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so the meet and greet was very nice. Also, there was a whole free buffet on the side that was pretty sweet. And also lockers full of beer and Red Bull, so you could get hyperactive or hammered, depending on your preference. I choose neither.
Good. I can't imagine a Red Bull would have helped your nosebleed at all.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, I prefer Red Bulls like I like my wild animals very far from me.
Fair. Or enclosed.
Sure, let's go with that.
Yeah, the lines were somewhat long at times, but very well managed. Event was very clean and led to a very nice concert. That was so the 6 main acts of the concert. Even before them, it started with a couple of sponsor roles, which I'm talking about because one of the more fun part was that one of the sponsors for the concert was a tabletop RPG that deliberately invoked something extremely weird in Final Fantasy without the branding.
Okay.
Which included the segment ahead of the concert for the sponsor part just being cool concept art with a live piano performance, which was a very neat touch.
Cool.
Using the media. Yeah. But of course, I wasn't able to delve into the introduction booklet they gave of this sponsor game because it was in Italian.
Yeah.
I'm at this point I'm just surprised Ponko wasn't involved.
I'm pretty sure I saw 2 vampires around, so maybe that's what he was running away from.
They were going slightly undercover, I guess.
The regular Italian countryside was very fetching, though. Now, as far as the concert itself goes, 6 main acts, starting with Michiru and Kaori Yamane, and also a violin solist that was amazing, and a band section. And the overall result was a much better balance between the 2 Yamane sisters, I feel, compared to some of our previous shared performances, which led to some very enjoyable songs. A very diverse selection as well. I've noted, let me just fetch my notes. So it started with Holy Wisdom, with a second part that was taking it in a bossa direction of all things. Then Crystal Teardrop, then Leon's Theme, then Hitomi no Kyoku. At which point it was also very clear that the audience was also playing a great part, being very reactive, very involved, which makes the concert that much better as well.
I remember, we're going to talk about our special guest, for lack of a better term, in a bit, but I remember one near concert she was at very early on.
Yeah.
They had a moment where they were doing Way to the World ending D. I forgot the specific naming of it, but the big one with everyone involved. And it was to a Japanese audience, and you had Emmy and Janique trying their hardest to get the audience to take part, and they just weren't budging because they were doing the very Japanese stoic thing.
Yeah. Very different kind of concert etiquette there.
Yes. I'm glad the audience was able to take part. That is, to me, a greater concert experience than just sitting politely and listening.
Yeah, and it definitely worked there.
That is probably one of the things I dislike the most about the traditional sort of orchestral concert etiquette thing. I think newer generations are starting to leave it aside for Brandon's experience, in fact. But there are still places where it's very strong, and contexts where it's very strong. And there are artists who want the concerts to be like that forever. And it's so annoying and just kind of dumb.
If I just wanted to listen to the music straight, I could stay at home and listen to a CD. I go to a concert to experience all of it, the vibe, the performance, the room.
Yeah. And sometimes when it gets too wild, when you have an audience with a main character syndrome, it can definitely detract from the experience. But
yes.
A lot of times I figure, which included this concert, it finds naturally a right balance that really landed and really elevated the whole experience.
Yeah, I see a lot of concerts, and very rarely do I have a bad audience experience. It's once every 3 or 4 years at worst. So
yeah.
I agree with you that somehow audiences tend to find their correct energy for the show and not really overstep that in ways that it's kind of funny how that works, actually, now that I think about it.
It is. Moving on, we have next act, which was Noriyuki Iwadare. Unlike the other performers, he came equipped with a video package, which landed really well for first the Grandia tracks, which also had a lot of the credits for the game. As a way to pay homage to the people that work on that. And the level of emotion the composer did as he conducted the orchestra was incredible, because as both composer and conductor, seeing the way he moved his hands and his whole posture to anticipate the next moments of this or that song and guide it within what's composed to dictate and guide the emotion and the intensity of it all. It was an experience that I will not forget anytime soon, that's for sure.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And so, as far as the songs went, we had Edge of the World, Mulan, the Fina Love theme, which kind of dovetailed into the credits and into the main theme, and they all blended together in a way that was really cool. And then, because all of those were on the Grandia side of things, for the last piece, which was Lunar, they went with the Japanese opening for Lunar Silver Star Story with Evie Evans that went ahead and did the singing. And I have shivers just thinking about it.
That
I
sounds...
may have teared up a little because I kind of prepared ahead of the concert by re-listening to some of the tracks because they had the games listed but not specific tracks. And I kind of blanked and skipped on Lunar, but I did play Silver Star Story, the GPA adaptation, I believe. And so I hadn't listened to that track from since a very long time. It somehow never came up in the last at least 15 years. And the nostalgia hit landed like a truck. Which was a great moment.
That
then
honestly sounds like a highlight, I'll be honest. That's
yeah.
Damn.
It really was. It really was. Also with the video in the background and everything, it's a really great act that ended with him having even learned a couple of thankful sentences in Italian.
Nice.
Yeah. So yeah, absolute highlight. But then moved on into, honestly, the part of the concert I was the least excited about comparatively, and that proved me very much wrong in that regard, because I haven't played that much of Baldur's Gate 3, and I wasn't familiar with the tracks further in the game, and I figured that given that a lot of it is on a very similar tone, maybe they wouldn't really have the kind of difference and depth to justify a whole section. And they said, yep, we agree. So since we already have a huge harp on stage, here's some Silk Song.
Okay.
Enjoyed that? Great. Here's some Skyrim song. Cool. Now let's talk about Expedition 33, which had probably the biggest pop in the audience.
That makes sense. So, that is kind of the new hotness, and Testar definitely stands out as a recent entry into the legend category.
Yep. And then we were very much wound up for enjoying Down by the River, I Want to Live, and The Power, which was a really nice selection that showed the depth of that soundtrack, and the performers were excellent, and Mark Choi on the piano was and will be an absolute highlight, because from that point on, he has entered the stage and he's not leaving for the next 3 acts as well.
Nice.
Yeah, especially since he, despite being on the keys a bit in the back, he is very obviously dynamic and super involved and aligning himself with the mood of the concert. Like, he's part of the audience in moments, and a cool part of the audience as well. So
again,
it all worked really well.
I said it before, I say it again. I love that interactivity. I do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so then, after that, we had the interlude, and we returned to, unfortunately, what did end up being, for me, the low point of the concert, which was the Shoji Meguro part. Started nicely with a little bit of him playing the guitar, but he's not primarily a guitar player, nor does he conduct or anything, so he did his speech and then moved back to let somebody else conduct the orchestra. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that in itself, but it was a little bit less personally involved than the others.
That's actually very disappointing, because you say he's not primarily known as a guitarist, but having come from the Shin Megami Tensei side where he plays a lot of guitar, I would argue that, yes, prior to Persona, he was primarily known as a guitarist. So the fact that he's not guitaring and just leaves is honestly rather disappointing.
Yeah, and I wouldn't have made it, held it as a strike against him if the pieces from the concert weren't kind of, well, first the selection was expected, his Eye of the Soul, his Battle for Everyone's Souls, He's retro to the truth, and he's wake up, get out there. Okay. That's Persona 3, 4, 5, pretty standard songs. And that's already kind of iffy, but what really tided it over is that for some reason, the vocals were replaced with horns that weren't really on point.
Horns?
That sounds awkward.
Yep. Basically 3 trumpets that went to replace the vocals and didn't land.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
usually
The rhythm
people,
felt a bit off in parts.
yeah, usually when people want to, like, if they can't have vocals and they need to swap to another instrument, they usually go for woodwinds.
Yeah.
This just sounds considerably more half-baked than everything else you've been talking about, so I do see why you were disappointed.
Yeah, it sounds like there was a problem, like, upstream. Like, maybe a problem in timing that meant they had less rehearsal time than they should have, or something like that.
It's also possible there was supposed to be a singer, and they just couldn't do it.
That would be a possibility as well. But yeah, that was a little bit of an awkward moment. But then we moved on to the heavy events part, which is a bit lower energy than the rest of the concert, but very much a nice way to get back in the mood.
Yeah.
And yeah, Song of the Ancients, Amusement Park, Weight of the World, with an Italian version, of course.
Of course.
And Kane.
Of course.
All the hits.
Yeah. Solid selection. Mark Choi at the piano killing it again. And very low key, very like. It was the kind of no net performance where you can't hide any single slip up. And there wasn't any. So.
Every time I've seen her, be it on YouTube or live, she has always been a very technically proficient performer. I've not seen her slip up. This is, I don't want to say to her detriment necessarily, but it doesn't mean she doesn't connect with the audience as much as some others. She kind of has to be pushed into it. But if you're kind of doing a slower, more intimate set list like the one you mentioned, I kind of feel like that's the appropriate mood.
Yeah, like, the one regret I have is that I haven't heard the live performance with her and somebody else, like a Jeannick Nicole, to have this more intense back and forth and this broader range.
Well, there is that near concert in, I think it was Germany, that is like a week before you come out here.
Yeah, no, it wasn't in Germany, it was in Paris.
Oh, okay, well, that's the opposite direction then. But,
Yep.
you know.
Moving on
Yep.
with the last part of the concert, which was incredible, as it turns out.
Unsurprising, given what I see on the credits here.
So, as it turns out, when performing live on the guitar, Akira Yamaoka has a very strong stage presence and interaction with the singers, which were the ones from the Baldur's Gate part that came back, sometimes alternating, sometimes alone. I will say on occasion, maybe it was because I was aligned on the right, so right in the line of fire of the drums. But sometimes when there was just one singer, the drums and the guitars drowned a little the voice, but when two of them were on the vocals, it compensated much better. And the selection was Theme of Laura, Promise and a Reprise, Letter from the Last Day, I Want Love, Hell Frozen Rain, and You're Not Here.
They did Hell Frozen Rain without Mary Elizabeth McGlynn. I understand why, but I'm still slightly sad about that. Her vocal part of that is a big part of why that song works.
Yeah. And for this one, they got 2 singers at the same times, and it's paid justice to the track.
Something, Scar Symmetry needing 2 singers to replace the one guy they fired.
Yeah, something like that. But yeah, there was really a back and forth with the singers as well, and it was such a high note to end the concert on. And yeah, overall, amazing experience.
Sure sounds like it.
Yeah. I would love to have seen that. I am jealous of you, but I'll also, I am a good friend who really is happy that you got a chance to do this, and I'm glad I I gave you that little nudge to do it, and I'm glad you took it and ran with it.
And I'm very thankful for that, because you are indeed a good friend.
Yeah, I'm so glad you got a chance to experience it. It seems like such an incredible just group of guys, and then Shoji Meguro sadly being disappointing.
Yeah, it's crazy, because, it's a lot of people that have contributed in a very central role for me to some pieces that have been formative to me for some.
Oh, yeah.
And that are just very enjoyable, and even those that I'm a little bit less familiar with ended up performing their hearts out and really conquering my heart and the hearts of many others in the audience, no doubt. And yeah, that's the kind of memory that will stay for a while.
As it should.
Indeed.
As it should.
Without being shattered, despite the games some of the tracks for the final part of the concert came from.
Again, Hell Frozen Rain. That is not a song that should have gone on a spin-off. It's too good, but Yamaoka and McGlynn were we're just going for it, and they did.
Yeah, and I didn't know the song before the concert. But boy, does it leave an impression right away.
Doesn't it just? And that's with the incorrect singer. That's amazing. That's a really good sign, actually.
To be fair, the incorrect singer is perhaps compensated by the composer playing live.
That's gonna help. Yeah. That's gonna help a lot.
It does.
This is why I'm such a proponent for... Everything you're describing is why I'm such a proponent for live performance.
Yeah.
Why I'm like, if you have a chance to see a concert of someone you like, find a way to take that chance.
Absolutely. And I second you on that.
Yeah. And there's a reason I screwed up my April and May so much, taking multiple back and forth trips to LA, despite really that should not have been a thing I did for a whole variety of reasons. I did it anyway because the chance to see all of that live music was too good to pass up.
Yeah. And honestly, when it comes to the price, I had some additional expenditure for the meet and greet and transportation, but for the concert itself, that was $62 for being slightly off center, 4 ranks from the stage.
I spend north of 100 on concert tickets like that all the time, so you got your money's worth and then some. I can't imagine a universe in which you did not get value out of that experience.
I very much agree.
My Brazilian wallet is crying right now, but I'm happy you got that experience.
And I hope you'll get some surprisingly amazing concert landing in your corner of the woods sometime soon.
Me too.
My city has a straight-up theater, seated theater for you can put an orchestra there, and we never get anything, just the dance festival that is currently going on. And I'm not a dance guy.
Well, let's manifest something a bit different.
I think if our oracular powers could ever be used for good, let's get a good concert for Edie somewhere in his neck of the woods.
Yep. Channeling right now.
I would appreciate it. But I'm happy you got it.
Oh yeah, thank you. Now, how about we talk in a broader sense about what we've been playing more recently?
Music Arcade, now playing.
Well,
so might as well continue to the end of the Rana special hours.
Go for it.
So been playing a lot of Palworld. Surprised that some of the combat themes are really solid. Not much music on the fields or in the base where you spend most of the time, but when you get an encounter, you get some good stuff.
That's pretty standard for survival crafters, I've noticed. They tend to not have a whole lot in terms of field themes or resting themes, which was really annoying in Valheim in particular.
Yeah. But I'm glad at least that, well, it's fitting those conventions. When it breaks pace a little, we get some nice pieces.
Yeah.
Then there is Dench Attack, which has a very strong focus on its soundtrack with some guests and some more permanent mainstays, and ends up with something that's funky, that's cool, that's energetic. And I had a main problem with the game, and the moment I voiced it, I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense, because yeah, it's a bit of rail. You're driving a train. Obviously, it's going to be a bit of rail compared to a skating game.
Yeah, and then I should just throw this out there. The fact that there's an optional voice pack with Daniel RT Game Drift King is pretty hilarious.
Yeah, they had fun with integrating the guests, not only in the selection of it, multiples of them being relevant to my interests, but also by having you unlock them by using cheat codes with directional inputs on a specific screen. It's fun.
Oh,
it's a nice little throwback.
That brings me back.
Yeah, and that's what I really like about this game, is that it's retro in multiple ways, but it never says it's retro, and I appreciate the restraint.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll definitely have to play back more of it. Had a busy couple of weeks. Some of it being because of the launch of the Hololive Rhythm game, which means that like 160 songs from VTubers are now video games songs, and that's a problem for you.
Yeah, that thing you just said now fills me with a sense of grave fear and dread and oh god.
Yeah.
I'm actually going the other way on this, because we have the running gags of I play Destiny and you play Arknights. We now have the running gag of Rana plays Hololive games.
Yeah, perhaps.
That will
Although,
live forever.
To be fair, yeah. Especially since they're doing a thing near launch where they are adding like 25 additional songs in 15 days. So we have a couple of new ones every day. So that's fun.
Yeah. They're giving the launch a lot of support, so at least from a technical technical side of things, good for them.
Also, if anybody asks, I've been across the frontier and in Germany every time I've fired a game, because it's not officially available in France for some reason.
You're honorary German. Got it. The benefits of Alsace-Lorraine, I guess.
Ja, ich liebe this Spiel.
Yeah,
Sehr gut.
I'm sure life has been great in Germanstadt.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, you can use most Alsatian countryside town names, and they some German enough.
Honestly,
Ain't
Strasbourg
that a
sounds pretty German just out of the gate.
Yep. And finally, we have the Avatar fighting game. I've dabbled a little bit, and I intend to give it a way more attention.
We're talking about The Last Airbender, not Blue Guys, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Correct. Although it has a mix of the eras between Last Airbenders and Legend of Korra. There's
Cool.
characters from both. And it's really fun, really fast. Like, this is kind of an old school game in a lot of ways. And it's very active, very intense, and has no right being as good as it is. Like, this is a licensed game for something from a property that hasn't had a lot of content for a while. Now there's the movie that's out, even though it has its own questions before it even comes out. But right now, this game is just really, really cool with like 900 frames of animation per character, including some pretty crazy impact frames where the characters are all distorted and all that. It's super cool.
Yeah, that sounds.
And they
very
got
wild.
my boys here in the main roster. Anyway, that's it for the games I've played. What have you been playing?
Eddie, you're up first.
Yeah, so since the last time I actually was on the podcast, we had another instance of the Steam Next Fest, and I did try some demos, but I will keep things brief and not talk about those right now because I think I tried like half a dozen different things. So
Nice.
I'll touch on those if/when I buy those games in their full versions.
Seems reasonable.
The games that I actually have been playing, I said I would, so of course I did play Destiny 2 after the Monument of Triumph update, which is the final
Of
content
course.
update.
Yeah.
It has new music for the new Sparrow Racing League mode, which was in Destiny 1 and they brought into the Destiny 2 in this patch, but I haven't tried that mode yet, so I can't say how much the songs fit within the racing aspect, but they have new music. They aren't just reusing the music from Destiny 1, which is
Nice.
cool.
Good.
After that, I got the itch to make a new Baldur's Gate 3 character because I just looked at the Oathbreaker class and wanted to do something more melancholic with it rather than the stereotypical angry Death Knight.
Ooh.
So that Ran already said basically what I would say about that game soundtrack. It's nice, but it is a bit samey. It's not gonna blow you off. Like, it's cool. It's there.
It could use a little bit more Silk Song and Expedition 33 in it.
Yeah, I guess you could say that. It is nice though.
Yeah,
And
without a doubt.
yeah, and after that, I've actually played a game that I wasn't expecting to buy, but ended up buying anyway. Assassin's Creed Black Flag Resynced, which is
Yeah, the remake.
yeah, it's kind of an unnecessary remake in a lot of ways.
That's what I've been
there are-
hearing.
A lot of people have been saying that, and they are not wrong. I won't say they're wrong at all. But there are a lot of really cool improvements. The Black Flag came at a time where Ubisoft was injecting a lot of like optional objectives for quote full synchronization,
Mm-hmm.
and that was mostly Assassin's Creed 3 and Black Flag had those, and those objectives were crap, just utter crap. You had to do some absurd crap. I hated those, and they're gone in the remake. Thank God.
Well, tell us how you really feel.
Yeah, I know. Also, another thing they got rid of is the tailing missions, which were awful. You had to stay close enough to the enemy to listen to them, but far enough that they wouldn't see you. And good luck trying to figure out how to hide. So that's not a thing anymore either.
Nice.
The biggest thing I would say that makes it kind of a worth purchase if you're on PC is that the original Black Flag release used NVIDIA's PhysX for leaves and foliage and stuff like that. And that led to a situation where the original Black Flag might run worse on your system than the remake.
Ooh.
Because
Yeah, because they ended support for physics, yeah.
Yeah, it tries to make calls to the engine and the engine isn't there, so it stutters a lot.
Mm.
So if you're on PC, then it might be a worth purchase because of that alone, if you really want to explore this game again.
Also, I believe you've mentioned that they accompanied the release with some new clearer credits for some of the shanties.
Yeah, so I don't know whether I missed the credits or whether they added the credits now. But I remember in an early episode I brought up the sea shanties, and they have credits on all streaming platforms. It is very much possible that I was just blind as a bat and didn't see them at the time, but not either way. They are credited now. I believe the main guy is Sean Dager. He also has a YouTube channel, in fact, which is cool. He's just one of, I think, 4 guys who do the shanties. They're all credited on the soundtrack. Another thing that they credited now is, I don't know if you guys remembered this because it's been a long time since I brought this on the podcast, but the game ends with the song The Parting Glass, which is a very melancholic folk song from Ireland, I believe.
Okay.
Which the voice actor for Anne Bonny sang it in the original, but the song wasn't in the soundtrack album. Now it is on the Resynced album with credits. So
nice.
Kudos to Ubisoft on that. The game also has new sea shanties. Most of them are sort of anachronistic. They're too recent for the time the game takes place at. But it's just songs, so I'm not going to be mad at that.
Yeah.
And one of those songs is The Wellerman, which was that sea shanty that got viral during the pandemic.
Yeah.
So, of course, they were going to add The Wellerman as one of the new sea shanties.
I'm annoyed, but they had to.
They kind of had to.
Like, I'm not disappointed, but I am annoyed.
One song that caught me by surprise is one of the characters in the game is Stede Bonnet. He was a real world pirate. He was historically known as the Gentleman Pirate. And in the game, you interact with him at the start, but then you don't interact with him anymore, and you don't really you don't see him dying. You don't see his death. In the original release for Black Flag, there was a DLC where you could get his costume, but it didn't have any plot to it. It was just an island for you to explore and grab new loot. In Resynced, they actually did a little side mission paying respects to Stede Bonnet because he actually is a major character in the first third of the game. And I was surprised at how emotional it got. Completing that quest allows you to get a new sea shanty that is just called Stede Bonnet. It is a real sea shanty. But the mission where you get it has Stede Bonnet's crew sitting with the thought that they just learned that their boss, let's say, their pirate captain, died. And so one of them starts singing a sort of dirge version of that sea shanty. And it is more emotional than you expect from a sea shanty being sung as a dirge. It works better than you think.
Sounds like a really cool moment.
Yeah.
It is. It is very neat. It's on
Kind of adding some nice stuff and removing some of the more friction-heavy parts.
Yeah, the only complaint I have about the remake really is the camera. It's way too close for a game that is very open. So sometimes you're in combat and someone comes from behind you and you don't see them, so you can't counter.
Yeah.
So that's annoying. But everything else to me is basically just positive things. The negative things are very minor and easy to ignore.
Neat.
So yeah, that's my list. And how about you, Galen?
So not as many things as I would like because life has been really busy, but I want to go over the highlights. Since the previous episode and this one, I, on a whim, played a game called Boxes Lost Fragments, which is a 3D puzzle game, an indie puzzle game about basically puzzle boxes and finding how to open them up and getting to their final form.
I found the concept of a puzzle box very intriguing, and so having that as a central point for a game sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, it was $5. I saw a sequel to the game played by a real civil engineer, and he said, this is the preview, and they did these other games that I liked, and I'm like, I was in a puzzle game kind of mood that day, and I'm like, you know what? Why don't we just try it? And it was a short game. I beat it in one sitting. It was like 4 hours long. Beyond that, I don't really have much to say on it. It was a fun little game for $5. $5 well spent.
Cool $5, 4 hours long, cool game.
Yeah. Next, obviously, back to Arknights, the newest Sui sibling event, the 7th now, because this game has
That's a lot of Sui.
That is. This game is 7 years old. I'm still shocked by that. This is the one I've enjoyed the most in a very long time. This has been
nice.
Kind of a weakness of the franchise for a while. They finally decided to have a real bad guy again, and that matters. Like we talked about earlier.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, like we talked about earlier, your movie is only as good as your baddest guy, and the prior two Sui events were very politically Chinese, which meant there was a very small amount of friction.
I can see the kind of stuff where everyone is actually trying their best and misunderstandings are resolved over the course of a single stage.
Yeah. So the last couple have been kind of rough, but this one got things back to form and actually had some hype. So I'm glad. The music was good too. I enjoy the music. Arknights has good music. That's not new information at this point in time. Indeed. On the subject of good music not being new information, let's talk about Masayoshi Soken. I finally, after months of fits and starts, finished Final Fantasy 16. And by finished, I mean I got every achievement I could get that doesn't involve New Game Plus.
Finished.
Yeah, I completed the crap out of this game.
Yeah.
My favorite part about it is the soundtrack, although not as egregiously as Final Fantasy 15, where I still describe it as the only worthwhile part of the game. In 16's case, it is a game that I like more than I don't, but only barely. The soundtrack doesn't fall into that. Remember how I said one of the composers I was going to talk about had a basically unlimited sound budget?
Yeah,
Soken got handed the keys to the kingdom, and he made use of them.
Sounds about right. I have heard that at least the banter between Ben Starr and Ralph Ineson is fun.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Sidolphus Telemon may be my favorite Sid in all of Final Fantasy, which, think about that.
Yeah, there's been a lot of good Sids.
Yeah.
Some forgettable ones, but...
As a fun fact that ties things together, he's also in Assassin's Creed Black Flag. He's one of the pirates.
Oh, amazing. Amazing.
Nice.
Yeah, this is a game I like more than I don't, but only barely. It's got a lot of very deep flaws, but I think the game overcomes them and gets a passing grade overall. I feel comfortable. If you think you're interested in, give it a shot. The early chapters are god-awful because, tutorial land, but once you're past that.
It feels to me like a great reset point for what the next Final Fantasy game could be.
Sure. And I will say this much.
I'm very curious to play it, because I haven't done yet, but it's definitely on the menu.
Yeah, I will say the Rising Tide DLC fixes a good chunk of my major issues with the game at large. It doesn't drown you in tutorials. The bosses are actually challenging in a way that feels real and not just stat bloat. The exploration is still fun. Like, the exploration is one of the best things about the game. I stand by that.
I think I remember hearing, speaking of this game being a potential good reset point, I remember hearing that the dialogue for the story was written and recorded in English first, and
it was
then
in
Japanese?
English first. And if you spend any time on the subreddit, there are people who are malding about this because they're like, no, the Japanese is the correct one. And everyone's like, dude, Koji Fox. Like, the two scripts were technically written at the same time, but no, it was English first, pretty much the whole way through.
Yeah, but my point is not to criticize that. I think that's kind of cool that they allowed Ben Starr and the crew to have their performance feel more organic because of that. But more that if they're changing their modus operandi like that for this game, it could be a sign of a new beginning after 15 underperformed.
We
I
shall
mean,
see.
it is. It's the first game since 13 that is completely unrelated to Fabula Nova Crystallis.
Interesting. Didn't know that.
I guess my biggest complaint about this team is that they're kind of incapable of going all the way on something. They kind of keep things maybe a little too safe. This was a big problem throughout the game. I believe I phrased it as this dev team doesn't really respect me as a player.
I believe you probably worded it in another way, but that isn't safe for the podcast.
Yeah, there were definitely parts of the game that I would describe myself as very angry about, and justifiably so. There were moments of the game that I'm just like, this is just, I feel disrespected by the developers.
Yeah.
With that in mind, like I said, I think the end experience, the good outweighs the bad, if barely. I give this a passing grade, but I don't hate it like I hate 15.
Yeah.
And that is it for me. That's the...
All right. Then that
Technically
is it
blitz.
for this episode.
Yes, it is. Thank you so much for tuning in. As always, you can find a playlist of the songs we talked about in the description below. We are on Blue Sky. Come say hello. Give us feedback. Please comment on our YouTube videos, etc.
We look forward to hearing from you.
And until next time, folks, take care out there. Have a good one, everybody.
Bye-bye.
See you next time.